Let's look at Friday in the NBA. There are 10 games on. What are we watching for? What's on our radar? Who can we stream in? Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I'm going to try to introduce my dad to Troy Weaver so they can become friends, and then I can get an NBA contract. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. And thank you also for being a double banger. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. Thank you for ringing the bell and for leaving your comments over here on YouTube. A quick reminder that we are doing some back-end stuff on the audio side over the coming days. So there's going to be a period where the podcast, after tonight's recap show, after Thursday's recap show, there'll be a 3-day period, I think it'll be, where you won't get audio podcasts released. So the only place you will find them is on YouTube for those days. So your Saturday look-ahead show, your Week 18 preview show, your Sunday look-ahead show, your Sunday night waiver wire show will all be, and even your Sunday recap show will all be delayed on the audio side. So if you want to see them earlier, they won't come out until Monday on the audio side. But if you want to see them earlier, you got to see them on YouTube. That will all be apparent. But just again, until Monday afternoon US time, you won't get a run of audio shows. Our system's just got to update a bunch of stuff. So I do apologize, but you can see them all live over on the old YouTube. So let's look ahead to Friday. There are 10 games on. There is a ridiculous amount of back-to-back games, an insane amount. 12 teams played Thursday, 10 on Friday. About half the teams are on a back-to-back. Just an insane, ludicrous schedule coming out of the All-Star break. So it's going to make it a little bit hard to work out what we need to look at here. Just a couple of bits of news before I get into talking about this. What we did here is that, we'll talk about that part later, but Isaiah Stewart has been suspended 3 games by the NBA. The charges were dropped. 3 games is still an insanely low amount. I know that people, it's 3 games, losing money. It's less than a week of a suspension. Less than a week. NBA is so light-handed on suspensions, it's ridiculous. He punched a guy on work time in an NBA-sanctioned event in the face, and the video apparently is damning, and he's out for less than a week. This should be 3 weeks minimum. The suspensions are ridiculous. And I don't care. I knew that it was going to be low because this is what they do every single time. 3 weeks is ridiculous. 3 weeks, 3 games is ridiculous for Stewart. And I know you'll have the question, well, who do we add with Stewart suspended? Stewart's been out the whole time. He hasn't played for 3 weeks. So their rotation is like literally exactly the same. So nothing changes in that regard. We're also getting a ton of different 10-day contracts come in and new 2-way contracts being signed. For the most part, this doesn't mean anything. The Grizzlies apparently are also providing an update on Brandon Clark, Marcus Smart, and Desmond Bane tomorrow. More of a formal update the next day or so. And Clark's rehab, I think you might say Clark in April. I don't think you'll see the other two, but I don't know. But we'll get more of an update on that later on. So that's where we're at. With that, let's talk about the games. I'm trying to just tweak this format a little bit. Yesterday, I led things off with the stream of the day. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to head into the games, and then we'll hit stream of the day and other streaming options at the end of the show. So there you go. First game. We're looking at the Cavs. We're looking at the Sixers. Both of these teams are coming in on a back-to-back. The Cavs go Friday, Sunday this week. If you're looking on the YouTube on that graphic at the top schedule, the number in brackets is games next week, games in week 18. So the Cavs have 4 next week. The Sixers also play the Friday, Sunday this week with 3 games next week. Injury-wise, Donovan Mitchell is still questionable for Thursday with an illness. So I'm going to list him questionable for Friday. I had D'Anthony Melton listed doubtful, but he is going to play. Melton is out on Thursday, but he will return on Friday. And then self-branded hat-wearing legend Nick Nurse, who about a week ago said, yeah, our starting lineup is going to be Maxey, Heald, Batum, Harris, and Reed when everyone's healthy. That is going to be our starting lineup. He came out today and said, well, actually, our guard position's either going to be Heald, it might be Melton, it might be Oubre, it might be Lowry. So I don't know. Now, when the deadline happened and Heald was traded, I was like, I'm not sure how good this is for Heald because there is going to be Melton and Oubre and a bunch of other guys there. And Heald's obviously been awesome since he came over. But now that they're not even committing 100% to starting him, I have some significant fears about what happens with Bud Heald. We'll see. So Melton's going to play. Batum is still questionable for Thursday. Whether he plays both games with a hamstring, I'd be pretty doubtful, but I'm going to list him questionable at this point. And of course, Joel Embiid is out. It is a back-to-back on both teams. The stream guy we're looking at Cleveland is probably Karis LeVert. And I would look to Mo Bamba there in Philly, although if DeAnthony Melton has been dropped, he becomes a stream option. I'm still not convinced he's going to be a must-roster guy with all that depth in there. And Kyle Lowry is making his debut on Thursday for the Sixers also. The next game has some interesting injury updates too. It is the Toronto Raptors and the Atlanta Hawks. The Raptors are on a back-to-back, as so many teams are, but this is the last game for Toronto for the week. They play Friday, they play Thursday, Friday, and then they're done. No games across the weekend, so they don't play the low-volume Saturday. They've got 4 games next week, so your fringy sort of guys, Bruce Browns and Gary Trents, you consider them droppable. I don't think that Kelly Olynyk is one of those players, nor is Barrett, nor is Quickly, nor is Barnes, nor is Pirtle. They're the guys that I'd want to hold on through that. The Hawks, they don't play Thursday. They're the only team in this one without a back-to-back. They go Friday, Sunday, rest of the week with 3 games next week. But the big news was Onyeka Okongwu is out for the foreseeable future. Now, that has been the key phrase of the NBA season. It doesn't mean a single thing because we have seen a foreseeable future mean one day. We've seen it, literally, we've seen a lineup be announced as this will be the lineup for the foreseeable future and change later that day. I don't think that's the case here with Okongwu, but obviously this significantly reduces the chances of him being a starter rest of season. Capella is back. I don't think I would drop Okongwu, but that 28-minute starting role I think is done. Capella's value rises significantly here. He returns for this game. Wes Matthews is probable. So I want to see what they do with Capella. How limited is he? If he's only a 20-minute guy, then Fernando is streamable. But if we're in a spot where Capella's immediately into 27 minutes, he might even start to get 31, 32 in a week's time. That's really great for his numbers. In terms of streamers, Kelly Olynyk is the guy I'm looking at in Toronto. We'll see how much they use him. I think he'll push to 24 eventually. And DeAndre Hunter probably in Atlanta. He's been really red hot. I don't buy that as a long-term thing for a single second because I've seen the man play. But at the moment, he's on a hot streak and he is worth streaming. Let's go to the next one. It is the Clippers taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. The Clippers are on a back-to-back here. They play Friday, Sunday this week. They've got the 3 games next week. Well, the Grizzlies' final game is on Friday. They don't play on the weekend, and they've got 4 next week. So trying to guess the Grizzlies' rotation is impossible. Jordan Goodwin's or Trey Jemisin's or Luke Kennard's or John Conchars or Jacob Gilliard's or whatever. It's impossible to figure out what they're going to do on a night-by-night basis. And now the added confusion of what are they going to do with Clark or Smart or Bane or any of those things is still looming over us. We know that Bane or Smart won't play in this game. Scottie Pippen won't play. And I'm just going to say that every other Grizzlies guy should be considered questionable to a degree. Aldama, Jaren, even Gillard, do they put him back into the G League? Vince Will, I think G.G. Jackson and Vince Williams are probably the only guys that feel secure. Jake LaRavia might play, or he looks like he's going to play. There's just so many guys that could be considered in or out that it's impossible to be able to judge this. We know that Bane, Smart, and Pippen are out, and Clark's going to be out as well, but yeah, you just don't know. The Clippers, I don't think there's going to be any sitting on the back-to-back there, but I guess we'll find out. For Grizzlies, it is G.G. Jackson I want to watch. Roll. Usage is important, but also efficiency, because he's been hitting his threes at a ridiculously high rate. I don't have supreme confidence of that holding, but again, we want to get more data in. In terms of stream guys for the Clippers, it is Norman Powell that I want to look at, and then on Memphis, it's the Duck Luke Kennard, but it could be anybody, because they could change a million different things every game. They're basically a game-by-game scenario. Jordan Goodwin's the one that I'm really interested in. But what if they just start Kennard and Conchar and Goodwin plays 19 minutes with Gilliard getting the other minutes? That's possible too. It's really hard to know. And Goodwin's 10-day might just elapse and they might not sign him again. I don't know. They are impossible to figure out at this point. Today's episode is brought to you by Stitch Fix. You know, that the instant confidence boost that you get from an outfit, it makes you look really good. That outfit makes you look good. You go, yeah, I'm looking pretty good, yeah? That's what you get when you get Stitch Fix. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist who understands your style, your size, and your budget, and they do all of the shopping for you. It's the easiest way to update your wardrobe this season. You just go in there, you get your stylist, your size, your style, the budget preferences, you order the box when you want. There's no subscription required here, and they send you 5 just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and pro styling advice as well. The stylist sends just right pieces. The fit is always on point. That's why they have the style. ESP, I don't know, they're able to figure out through those questions they ask you what is going to fit and what's on trend at the moment. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon. That is stitchfix.com/lockedon. stitchfix.com/lockedon. Okay, let's go on to the next game of the day. We have got the Phoenix Suns and the Houston Rockets. Not a surprise to see that both of these teams are on a back-to-back as well, and both of them play Friday, Sunday, and both of them play 3 games next week. That is just so common. Beal is still questionable for Thursday's game. He had the nose surgery, he had a hamstring. I would think there is a significant risk that he does sit one on a back-to-back, but they have also been pretty cavalier with hamstring injuries this season, so we'll see. I don't expect that Tari Eason's going to play. In fact, I'm pretty worried about Tari Eason's rest of season outlook. At the moment, he's out for Thursday. I don't think he plays on Friday. Well, Reggie Bullock is still questionable for Thursday as well. Cam Whitmore and Fred VanVleet are both returning Thursday, and VanVleet said he will play the back-to-back. In terms of streams, Royce O'Neal is probably the guy I look to in Phoenix. If Beal is out, then Eric Gordon jumps him in that priority list. And then for the Rockets, Cam Whitmore is the guy that I look at, but they've got some questions about what they do with Amen Thompson, what they do with Jalen Green, and what they do with Whitmore, and how they utilize those minutes. So that is something for us to pay some attention to. The Washington Wizards and the Oklahoma City Thunder. You'll be shocked to know both of these teams are on a back-to-back. You'll also be shocked to know that both of these teams play Friday and Sunday to end this week. And you'll also be shocked to know that both of these teams play 3 games next week, like every other bloody team in the NBA. Injury-wise, I think we're all right. It's not too bad. Isaiah Livers, he hasn't played a single minute since being traded to Washington. He's out for Thursday. Not sure he's going to play on Friday. I've listed Gordon Hayward as doubtful. Now, he is going to play on Thursday, Gordo. I've just listed him doubtful because he's been out for 5 weeks with a calf strain, and I'm just not sure they'll push him straight into a back-to-back immediately. They might, but at this point, I'm projecting that he doesn't play on Friday in this one. Stream, guys, I go Corey Kispert in Washington, and then Lou Dort, the magical mystery box that is Midwest Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort. Streaming him in is always an adventure, and sometimes it works, and it's like other adventures. Sometimes it's a disgusting thing that you should never have done. Let's talk about the next one. It is the Miami Heat. They are taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. The Heat, this is their only game for the week. It is on Friday, of course. They don't play the weekend. And then, I don't know why I wrote 1 in there. They don't have 1 game next week. That is a mistype by me. The Miami Heat have 4 games next week, so a better schedule than 4 games next week. The Pelicans go Friday, Sunday with 3 next week. I want to watch the role of DeLon Wright. We already know that. Look at the injuries. Rozier is out. Richardson is out. Jimmy Butler will return, but Tyler Hero has now popped up as questionable as well. So there are no guards, and if Hero is out, there are literally no guards. It's going to be Alondes Williams and DeLon Wright. So Wright could be really interesting as a streamer. Long term, I don't know where it fits with these guys returning, but DeLon in 20 minutes is probably 12-team adjacent. In terms of the Pelicans, there's no Dyson Daniels for them. He's out with that meniscus surgery. Brandon Ingram is questionable with an illness for Thursday, so I'll list him questionable here. And it is a back-to-back, so I'm going to say that Zion Williamson, who's going to play on Thursday, is unlikely to play on Friday. Trey Murphy played their last group of back-to-back, so he should be okay. But Zion and the foot problem, I think they'd like to be pretty cautious about playing him, so I think he probably just doesn't go in this one. In terms of stream, guys, Duncan Robinson, while all these guards are out, he's going to start. He's going to get good minutes. He's a great stream. He just should be on rosters at this point. And then for the Pelicans, you could look at Jose Alvarado. If Zion is out, Jonas Valanciunas' value rises. Trey Murphy's value rises, but those guys are rostered in the majority of leagues. So Alvarado's been taking a lot of the Dyson Daniels role, and his ability to get some assists and some steals has been pretty important, I think, for this team, and it can be sort of important for your fantasy squad. The next game is the Charlotte Hornets taking on the Golden State Warriors. Shockingly enough, both of these teams are on a back-to-back, and shockingly enough, both of these teams go Friday and Sunday to end this week. They also both play 4 games next week, so identical schedules coming up in terms of volume for next week and the rest of this week. I do not think that LaMelo Ball is going to play tomorrow. He is out for Thursday. Rod Boone was saying that he's practicing. I would be stunned if LaMelo played on Friday. I'd be pretty stunned if he played on Sunday, to be honest. I do think that he will come back, but I don't think that he will last the season, but I don't know. I don't think Mark Williams will come back at all. He's going to be out. Chris Paul is going to be out for Golden State. I'm guessing he's going to be back maybe start of next week, but I don't think he's going to play on Friday. And then Gary Payton is questionable for Thursday. The doctor will see whether he is ready to go on Friday or not. His absence helps Klay Thompson. It helps Lester Quinones, fully converted contract legend, and Brandon Podziemski there. In terms of streams, Grant Williams is still available everywhere. I think he's worth adding in 12-team leagues. I actually just had to drop him in one of my leagues because I had to activate, I think it was Kawhi off the IL slot because he's my worst player. But as a general rule, Grant is a 12-team league option for now. For the Warriors, it is probably Dario Saric, assuming that Brandon Podziemski's already been rostered. Again, when I look at these streams, these are 39% rostered or below to give more of a broader range of guys that are going to be available in a lot of different spots. The next game we look at is Denver taking on Portland. The Nuggets are coming on a back-to-back, as everyone is. Insane stuff. Portland is not, so that's great. The Blazers and the Nuggets both go Friday, Sunday this week. Denver has 4 games next week. Portland has 3 games next week. Injury-wise, it's relatively okay. KCP and Jamal Murray missed before the break. They're both probable for Thursday, so I'm just going to guess that they play. Hunter Tyson's out on Thursday. He's not in the rotation, so that doesn't matter. Malcolm Brogdon and Moses Brown are going to be out for Portland. So is Shaedon Sharpe, who we can effectively say his season is over. On Portland's side, it's about Scooter Henderson to me, who's going to be the starting point guard. It's more about where does the efficiency run. We've seen him improve threes. We've seen him improve free throws for a significant stretch of time. But now I need him to be better than like 42% two-point guy. That's the next step. The minutes are there. The usage is pushing up. 2/3 of the efficiency equation is solved. Now it's about do something with your twos. For stream guys, probably Peyton Watson in Denver, especially when you're looking for those defensive numbers. And then in Portland, well, there could be a number of different guys. I'm going to throw Tamani Kamara in that mix. It could be Jabari Walker, but with the team as they currently are, Walker's sort of being marginalized, and while Ayton's playing, but things are going to change for this team a lot later on as we get into the teeth of silly season. The next game is the Milwaukee Bucks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Both of these teams are not on a back-to-back, so that's unbelievable. The Bucks go Friday, Sunday with 3 games next week. The Wolves have a great schedule. They play Friday, but they also play Saturday on that low-volume day with 4 games next week as well. So they don't play Sunday, but they've got this really strong schedule through Week 17, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Chris Middleton missed before the break with an ankle problem. I'm going to currently just have him as questionable. We'll see whether that needs to be updated or not. I do expect that he plays, but I'm not certain yet. And then Wendell Moore is questionable for the Wolves, which does not matter at all. Damian Lillard had been struggling significantly before the All-Star break. He went out and won the 3-point contest and All-Star Game MVP. Does that carry over? Generally, no. But Lillard was always set to have some sort of a bounce back because he'd been regressing to who is this guy? What is this shooting? I've never seen this from even a fringe NBA player. That's how bad it was getting for Lillard. So we need to see that turn back around. We need to see, does his usage change at all? And how they utilize him. But more importantly, just hit some shots, mate. For Minnesota, Mike Conley's been signed to that contract extension. What I want to see with Conley is, does he stick at 29 or do they start to bring him to 26, giving more responsibility to Monte Morris to help preserve Conley for the playoffs? This is the first game of a back-to-back as well, so let's see what they do. In terms of streams, Leaky Beasley in Milwaukee is always going to be that stream guy, but never the guy that I want to commit to fully. And then in Minnesota, it's going to be Kyle Anderson or probably Nickeil Alexander-Walker as a potential stream option for you over there. Today's episode is also brought to you by our partners over at eBay Motors, teaming up each week to bring you the best fantasy picks of the week, providing players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. With Patrick Williams out in Chicago, Torrey Craig now injured as well, they're going to have to rely on a lot of minutes for Ayo Dosunmu. I don't think they'll run a ton of Drummond-Vucevic matchups unless it's against really big lineups on the other team, and that's not for every team. So that means that Dosunmu and Caruso are going to be playing 33, 34 minutes minimum, and Dosunmu can push up to 39. His efficiency is strong. His usage has been up. I think at this point, we probably do want him on a roster. If they decide they're going to lean more into Drummond and Vooch, then it's a little bit more dicey for Ayo. But at the moment, there's a really good opportunity for him with those power forward injuries for Dosunmu to be someone that's interesting. So this is one of those steps that you make to try and solidify your team in the playoffs to push towards a fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows that a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. And that is the same with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure that your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever it is that your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with your eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber and not cash. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to US customers, eligible items only, and exclusions apply. All right, let's go on to the final game preview of the day, and it is the Spurs and the Lakers, both of these teams playing on Thursday, so they've got a back-to-back here on Friday. The Spurs and Lakers both go Friday, Sunday this week. The Spurs and Lakers both play 3 games next week as well, but there's a lot of injuries, and they're all basically coming from the Lakers side. LeBron is out on Thursday. I think that he plays on Friday. Cam Reddish and Max Christie are both questionable for Thursday, coming off some injuries. Christie, I would expect, would be okay to go both games. Reddish, I'm not sure. He's been out for a long time, but I don't think both Reddish and Christie will be an every night part of the rotation now that Spencer Dinwiddie is there anyway. But what we do know is that Gabe Vincent's going to be out, Jared Vanderbilt is going to be out, and then Christian Wood has a knee injury that's going to keep him out at least 2 weeks, meaning for deeper leagues, Jackson Hayes moves into that discussion for us as a streamer. In terms of stream options here, the Spurs, it's probably Bubble Champagne. It could be Blake Wesley. It could be Malachi Branham, but they're low-end sort of players. If Zach Collins is available, he's a stream guy. I don't expect that Wembanyama sits, but they could limit the minutes somewhat. In terms of the Lakers, Rui Hachimura is still widely available. Rightfully so. He's not a very good category league player, and he relies on out-of-the-norm, high field goal percentage to put up numbers. But if LeBron plays, that also hurts him too. So he's fine as a streamer, but definitely not someone that I'm looking at as being a must-roster player. So that's the on my radar section. So let's go through and let's go to the streams of the day and some other streaming things that we need to look at. Yeah, that's what we want to talk about. So my 10-team stream of the day, I'm going with Scoot Henderson. He's still only 56% rostered. That falls within my cutoff here, and I just don't think he should be. He shouldn't be like sitting available that much. Yes, I know it's been rough from Scoot for a big stretch of time. Ignore that. This guy is top 100 over the last 3 weeks, and this is a very, very common pattern. They are going to sit other guys down. He is going to be worthwhile. You grab him now. 12-teamers, Kelly Olynyk. He only needs 22 minutes, and I think he'll get it. 14-team is probably Jose Alvarado. And 16-team stream is John Conchar. Yeah. But with the Grizzlies, you never know. That could be Trey Jemison. That could be Jordan Goodwin. They could throw a million different guys out there. For Yahoo point streaming, I am going to go with DeAndre Hunter. For ESPN points, I'm going to throw Kelly Olynyk, although Kelly Olynyk and DeAndre Hunter were very similar in my ESPN points projections for the day. In terms of the back-to-back, it's only the Wolves that play the Friday, Saturday back-to-back, and the chunks is the same chunks as yesterday, with the Pistons, the Knicks, and the Nets being the only 3 teams that have 2 quality games between Friday and Tuesday, because the only 2 quality game days are Saturday and Monday, and the Nets, Pistons, Knicks are the only 2 teams that play there. If we look at who plays 5 games in 8 nights, starting on Friday, so Friday through to Friday, Hornets, Cavs, Warriors, Bucks, Wolves, Pelicans, Wizards. That's bad news for Zion, a little bit of an overload in the schedule. It's bad news for LaMelo Ball, even if he returns. He might be a little bit limited. The Warrior, I've only one Warrior there apparently. I didn't write the S on the Warriors. Cavs, Warriors, Bucks should be okay. Wolves should be okay. Wizards, maybe they start to lean into resting. I don't think that'll happen just yet though. Our 10-team streams of the day. We're going with Scoot Henderson, Brandon Pajemski, Kelly Olynyk, Tre Mann, Marvin Bagley. Those first 5 are just must-roster players, but they're still widely available. The next one there is Amen Thompson. Now, I do think that Amen is going to be probably a droppable guy when now that Fred VanVleet is back, but in terms of streaming someone in on this Friday, Amen's going to be in the mix. Maybe he plays 23 minutes, and the ability to get some rebounds, assists, and steals still has stream value. But to me, in a 10-team format or even a 12, Amen is a stream guy and not a must-roster guy at this point in time. If you want to hold because you're in a comfortable spot and you want to see what happens, and if they bench Jalen moving forward, then sure. But as a general rule, given how the rotation I think plays out, I'm not sure that Amen is must-roster. For 12-teamers, I'm going with DeAndre Hunter on that list, Duncan Robinson and Grant Williams. I think that Robinson and Williams are 12-team must-roster players. They're definitely available to stream here. You got Jose Alvarado, Rui Hachimura, and the Duck Luke Kennard, of course, with the standard Grizzlies question mark. Maybe I need to make that gives me an idea. I might pause this and create just an idea in the back of my head. Don't mind me as the machine just runs here as I'm doing the show. Yeah, so Luke Kennard is the 12-team stream. For deeper leagues, we are going Memphis again, Johnny Conchar. We've got Kevin Love. We've got the prestige penis, grade A Dick. I wouldn't be shocked to see Dick start to play 28 here right away. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to be receptive to Dick getting those minutes. Peyton Watson's a deep category league streamer. Bruno Fernando, with the absence of a Kongwu and Capella maybe being limited. And then Corey Kispert as well is worth a look for us. And lastly, we go to points league streaming. We go to Marvin Bagley. These are all 50% or below. Marvin Bagley, Tre Mann, Amen Thompson, GG Jackson, DeAndre Hunter, and Kelly Olynyk. Bagley, Mann, Jackson, all must roster points league guys. I think Hunter is getting close to that. And then a Man and a Linux sort of push down a little bit below it, but some interesting names there nonetheless. And that brings us to the end of Friday's Daily Look Ahead show. So if you are here, I thank you very much for being here and for giving me those thumbs up and for giving me the double bangs and the subscribes and the notification bells, and leave whatever comments you have down below as well. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.